All right. Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Halon Lai Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachat Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Rakazai, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab on back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, more stout than his fellows. All right. And I'm gonna grab a couple of videos and then I'm gonna hit these scriptures and close out. All right. But basically going into, the pride of this president, man, Neuro 47. All right. Your cool Lord, all right, is showing, pride way and beyond. Okay. And what he's doing is he's making everybody in America, everybody in the world pissed off at America, you see. And it's a beautiful thing to see these things, man, because you have to understand that the Lord has puffed him up with pride for a reason, man, just to destroy him. Okay. I'll start off with this precept and then I'll grab these videos. This is Obadiah. This is Obadiah 1 and 1. The vision of Obadiah, all right, which this was concerning Edom. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. All right. Shalom, Sister Yahweh, Brakatah. All right. So it shows you that these heathen, all right, out of the heathens, that Esau, Edom is the smallest one, and they are greatly despised, you see, and they're going to be greatly despised, all right, even more with the moves that Donald Trump is making, man, you see, because the pride of his heart has deceived him. Let's read that. Verse 3, the pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, and saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Okay, so his mentality is, making boast of, how much he has, all these different moves that he's constantly making. All right, basically saying to himself that nobody could bring him down. Okay, and like I said, it's a beautiful thing to actually see that, because pride go before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. You see, so we already know that it can only mean one thing. He has to be brought down through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You see, Shalom Malak Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. All right. So now let me grab a couple of these videos. All right, and then I'll grab some more scriptures.
Right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay?
There's a reason why he doesn't want. There's a reason why he doesn't want Russia and China as a neighbor, because of Bible prophecy. See, if Russia and China was to take over Greenland, they will be on top of the United States, according to the way we look at the map, right? But they will be right next door. So he sees himself being closed in by all these different nations. And what he's basically trying to do is he's trying to take over the whole entire Western Hemisphere, right? To be able to run that Western Hemisphere, all right, and have no neighbors next to him. So if he goes to war, he's just going to war with the people across. But see, that's not how it's going to plan out to be. You see, that's not how it's going to fall according to Bible prophecy. He is going to be surrounded by all nations, as the scriptures say. Okay, let's grab this. This is this is Jeremiah 51 and 1. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. All right. And that destroying wind goes into that thermonuclear destruction that's going to come upon Babylon. And I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. You see, so all these different nations are literally surrounding, okay, America through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, the Lord is putting the chess pieces where he needs them to be. Okay, this is Isaiah 34:1. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies, and he has utterly destroyed them, and he has delivered them to the slaughter. All right, and that's talking about the Lord bringing, destruction upon all the nations. But before he does that, all right, especially the main one being America, he's gonna have them come to war, each and one of them, all right, and they're gonna be set up again to destroy America. All right, so let me grab another video. What was it? 1 second. I gotta scroll back up to it. This is let me get to it this way. Here we go.
To take Greenland. After Venezuela, anything military to take Greenland. Actually ordered the military to take Greenland. After Venezuela, anything seems possible. So let's break down what would happen. The invasion would be shockingly easy. Greenland has 56,000 people and 0 military, just a Danish dog sled patrol. US forces could secure the island in hours. But here's where the easy victory becomes America's worst nightmare. France, Germany, UK, Italy, Poland, and Spain already issued a joint statement. Greenland belongs to its people. If the US attacks, NATO is over. Europe combined has 1.5 million active troops. The UK, France, and Germany alone operate over 200 nuclear warheads, and they'd have no choice but to unite against America. Because if Trump can invade Denmark, what's stopping him from threatening Germany or France next? China and Russia wouldn't just condemn this, they'd move in fast. China controls 90% of rare earth refining. The entire reason Trump wants
So you heard what they said about that France will be next.
Russia would
hear that again.
Next. China and Russia wouldn't against America, because if Trump can invade Denmark, what's stopping him from threatening Germany or France next?
See, and what's stopping them from threatening Germany and France next? And that's why you have Germany that said that they will protect Greenland, all right? They will protect Denmark and help them protect Greenland, right? And that's why you have France that just literally just left basically the NATO EU, okay? Which I have another I'll show you in a second.
China and Russia wouldn't just condemn this, they'd move in fast. China controls 90% of rare earth refining. The entire reason Trump wants Greenland, Russia would immediately offer Europe a new security partnership without America. So America gains an island it can't mine for decades, NATO loses 75 years of European trust and pushes Europe straight into China and Russia's arms. This isn't strategy, it's geopolitical suicide. It would turn America from a superpower into an isolated pariah. What if Trump actually ordered the military?
See, that's what he's afraid of.
After Venezuela,
he's afraid of being isolated and being by himself, man. All right, which call Haloim La Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because the scriptures are speaking. You see, they're greatly despised. All right. Now going back to what I was just saying, all right, with France, right? It says breaking. France, a draft resolution to begin the process of withdrawing from NATO has been submitted to France's National Assembly. You see, so France is to leave NATO, okay, because they see what Trump is doing. You see, he's trying to take over everything. So like they just said in that video, what makes you think he won't go to Germany and to France next? Okay, his own allies, man. All right, let's go back to this video now. I got another one.
And said, hey, do you want to help us fund our new airports? China was like, yes. Friend.
This is another reason why you had Donald Trump make the move that he's making towards Greenland.
China. The Prime Minister of Greenland went to Beijing, their friend, and said, hey, do you want to help us fund our new airports? China was like, yes, we will give you a loan to fund the airports, but it has to be a Chinese construction company that builds the airports. And Greenland was like, okay. let's do it. That sounds great. And immediately over in the United States, alarm bells start going off. This is not good. The context here is that China has a habit of giving loans to countries that they want to have influence in in the future. So the United States sees this potential deal happening between Greenland and China and hates it. Greenland, this place that is so strategically located, that is right next to the United States, that is really a huge part of the future of global influence in the Arctic, suddenly in debt to China? No. In fact, the Pentagon freaked out and was like, what if Greenland defaults on their payments to China and China seizes the airports and starts using it for their military? A little bit of an alarmist, doomsday scenario. But it's true. When you owe someone money, they have leverage over you. The U.S. did not like this. So the U.S. goes to Denmark and tells them to kill the deal. Denmark does it. They agree. And suddenly Denmark is now funding 2/3 of these airport projects. China got rejected on these airport deals thanks to U.S. pressure. But they didn't give up. They started setting their sights on those rare earth minerals that we talked about earlier, the vital ingredients for your phone, your computer, and your electric car. China holds a near monopoly on mining and processing these minerals. So they see Greenland as an opportunity to continue that near monopoly, but also an opportunity to access the Arctic, another place where they can compete with Western interests. It started when this Chinese corporation made a deal to fund a zinc and lead mine in the far north of Greenland. It was all going to plan until the Australian owners of this mine suddenly decided to end their deal. Oh, and shortly thereafter, they got a $650 million check from the United States to fund the project. Once again, the US blocked their rival from getting a foothold in the Arctic. Another Chinese company has had their mining licenses revoked entirely by the government of Greenland. So between this diplomatic pressure, as well as some local anti-mining political sentiment, China has been blocked time and time again from getting its foothold on this island.
China's words and actions raise doubts about its intentions. Beijing claims to be a near Arctic state, yet the shortest distance between China and the Arctic is 900 miles.
So yeah, the USA has made its stance very clear that they don't want China, a non-Arctic nation, to be meddling in this region, to be gaining a foothold in the gateway to the Arctic, this region that is opening up, that is becoming really important. And in addition to blocking China's efforts, the US has also stepped up their own efforts to get more US influence and presence in this place to prepare for the future of geopolitical conflict. The US is doing investments on its own, investing billions of dollars in military infrastructure in this region, including a $4 billion upgrade of that air and space installation in the north. They're also committing to military training exercise within the Arctic. The US Army has been sending their soldiers.
These devils is on some other shit, man. when we say that pride is heavy, that pride is heavy. All right, so let me grab this. This is Daniel. All right, Daniel 7, and I'll grab it from 7. And it says, after this I saw, and this was going into, a vision that Daniel has seen. All right, and he was interpreting these things. And it says, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast. All right, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceeding, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured, all right, and break in pieces the stamped Salaki, the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. Okay, so we know this is going into that Roman Empire, all right, which eventually will be that that ancient the revival of that ancient Roman Empire. All right, so this is them showing that their iron teeth, that military power, right? When it says, and it had 10 horns. Okay, the 10 horns basically going into NATO and EU. All right, and it says, and I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. All right, basically going into America. All right, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. All right, so that's the pride of basically America. All right, showing you the pride that they have today. Okay, they speak great swelling words at the end of the day. All right, let's grab this down to verse, which at the end of the day, this fourth beast, all right, that's exactly who the end will come through. All right. As a matter of fact, let me grab that real quick. This is Second Ezra, excuse me, the 11th chapter, verse 39, and it says, "Art not thou it that remainest of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in my world?" See, so the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. They're the ones that was going to rule in those last days. All right, that the end of their times might come through them. And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. Okay, and so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. All right, so they have always been the ones that brought constant oppression, first and foremost to the Israelites, but to the whole world, period. Okay. So the end was going to come through them. That's why the scriptures say Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. And that's how you know that we're that ancient, the revival of that ancient Roman Empire, because, they fell off for a while. All right. But then they came back into power, and we're living in that time now through them, you see, which I'll grab Daniel, the second chapter also. All right. But let me finish this. This is Daniel 7, and grab it from, let's grab it from, take it from 17 real quick. It says, "These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom." Okay. It says, "And possess the kingdom forever and ever, forever and ever, even ever and ever." It says, "Then I will know that the truth of the fourth beast," okay, which is, again is Rome, "which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and the nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet." Okay, going into that military power. Okay, and that's why they're pretty much the hammer today, on the earth. It says, "And of the 10 horns," okay, going into the EU, "that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and the mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows." Okay, so the 3 that basically fell was going into the French, the Spanish, and the British, and through the British is how they were able to set up America, establish America in power. Okay, then you had the 13 colonies. Started off with the 13 colonies, and then it went into the American Revolutionary War. Okay, so that's how America was able to be established. Okay, but going into that word stout, when you go into that word stout, it goes into basically going into power, but also going into
China.
a lot of pride. Okay, give me a second. Stout. It says in the dictionary, regular dictionary says, uh, it says of a person somewhat fat or of heavy build. All right. It says strong and thick. Okay. It also says a kind of strong, dark beard, but no, that's not what we want. All right. Tough, durable. Okay. Basically going into that strong, military power. All right. But let's grab it from the actual blue letter. All right. This is Daniel. Slovakia. 7 and what verse was that? 19. 20. Stout goes into the interlinear. It goes into Raab, right? And it goes into great figuratively speaking of power, you see? It's about great power that they had. All right. You got another word that goes into it, says much, many, great, um, abundant, enough. Okay. Great, strong, greater than. See, they're greater than all the other, powers before them. They're stronger than any of them ever been. All right. And they had the most abundant. All right. Let me see Stout in the word etymology online. Word etymology online, Stout. All right. Stout goes into.
The word stout originates from Old French and Germanic roots, meaning proud.
It says valiant, brave, also proud. You see? So this is what they are all about, man. They have that stout look upon all these other nations. They are more proud than every single nation that you see. And this is why the pride of thine heart has deceived them. You see? It says haughty. See? Going back to that Proverbs, right? Where it says, let me just grab it real quick. This is Proverbs 16, I believe it is, and 18. This is Proverbs 16 and 18. And it says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So that's how we know that he has no choice but to fall, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, because him being stout over all these fellows, right, means that he's proud and he is haughty, all right, skilled in battle, okay, with his military power, fierce, cruel. You see, these are the words of Stout, okay? Were we not given into the hands of a cruel Lord? Isaiah 19 and 4. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay, so him being that cruel Lord is showing you that he has all this pride over everybody in the earth. You see, Trump literally going on a rampage right now. It's no chill mode on this damn devil. All right. He don't know what it's like to stop. He just keeps going and keeps going. He's like the Energizer Bunny right now. He keeps getting bolder and bolder as he continues to make moves. See, as soon as he took over Venezuela, all right, and took over their oil and took over the land, see, now he boasting himself and thinking that he just can't be touched. Okay. That's why eventually the Lord gonna put the spirit on all these nations to bring this place down, man. All right, let's grab Isaiah 47 and 1. Come down and sit in the dust, meaning confusion, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Why is she being called a virgin daughter? Because she has never been touched. You see, she sits as a queen and says, I am no widow, right? Thinking that, nothing shall come up against it. Okay. So it says, sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Okay. Take the millstones and grind mill, unlock the locks, and make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yeah, thou shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. All right. So basically, the Lord is exposing her. Okay. And we're at the time where, as the scriptures tell you in Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, that the Lord, all right, is making Esau bare that he can no longer hide himself, man. Okay. So this devil, all right, is being exposed on every angle of who he truly is. See, now we see that he is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Okay. Because this nigga ain't just got 2 horns coming out of his head now. Now he got like 10 horns coming out of his head, showing that he just completely is the most wicked nigga on earth right now, man. All right. He has no sympathy even for his own allies right now. You see? So it says, I was wroth with my children. It says, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. See, so the Lord going to bring her down to naught. All right. She's no longer going to be that lady of kingdoms. I was wroth for my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. All right. You see, just like Pharaoh, in Egypt, Lord Moses kept saying, let my people go. And he would just, be proudful with it. Right. It's almost like the king of Tyrus. All right. you know, the Prince of Tyrus, Salakia. All right, you had that was a Canaanite uh, empire that was, you know, beautiful, and what ended up going down with them, they ended up being taken out of the way, all right, by the Babylonians, okay, and eventually being really finished by the Greeks, okay. But you see, the way they got taken out of the way was because of their pride that they had, thinking that they can never be touched. That's why you can actually, you know, compare Babylon the Great to what is that? Ezekiel the 28th chapter. Okay, going to the Prince of Tyrus. All right, because it's the same pride that Esau has here today. Okay, and basically when countries, I mean, when empires are proud like that, it's only a matter of time before they fall. You see, and that's what's happening. You're seeing the great fall of America, Babylon the Great. Okay, so it says, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thy hand. Thou didn't show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And thou said, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. You see, so you know they're not thinking of that of their end. Why? Because their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. You know, they think that they're literally going to be able to escape all these different types of, you know, judgments that the Lord is going to bring upon them, and that's just straight pride. It says, therefore, hear now this, thou art given to pleasures that dwell carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Okay, so eventually the Lord will bring, all right, this place down. You see, so let's grab Daniel back, and which I pretty much hit the point. Let me grab it from 2. All right, because this is what's happening right now. All right, I'll grab it from the verse 40. All right. So it says, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. Okay. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. All right, and that's what you're seeing, the vision, okay, with the NATO and the EU, okay, because this is where we're at in prophecy, at the toes, okay, mixed with miry clay, all right, and that with the clay and part iron and part clay. So, you know, basically meaning that you had some that were financially strong, some that were, you know, financially weak. Okay. So basically going into, you know, the strongest was basically the British, British, Germany, and France. Okay. And everybody else just had, you know, there was just regular power. Right. But those were the strongest ones, in America being the strongest one out of all of them. Okay. But at the end of the day, it was going to be division, which I believe, I think it was in the year I want to say 2000. It was, you had the British, I mean, the UK, they exited out of EU. What year did the UK exit out of NATO and EU?
The UK left
It
the
was in
European
2020.
Union on
Yep.
January 31st, 2020.
Yep, 2020. So you had, you know, there was already division going on since then. So you had the UK that was part of them ended up leaving, and you got, you know, basically France is about to leave. You see, you got Denmark, that's their own allies, you know, basically about to go to war with them because they want to take over Greenland. Okay. So then, you know, Germany wants to jump in. You see, so it's just a whole bunch of division, all right, being brought out, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, showing you that prophecy is right on point. You see, and the Lord says what? That let's grab that second Ezra. This is second Ezra 4 and 37. And it says, by measure has he measured the times, and by number has he numbered the times, and he does not move nor store them until the said measure be fulfilled. So the Lord, moving these pieces on the chessboard, all right, he's moving them accordingly to the way he wants them moved, and he doesn't move the next one until the said measure be fulfilled. You see, tells you that in Proverbs, the 21st chapter, the king's heart, all right, is in the hand of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right, let's grab that. This is Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21 and 1. It says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord Yahweh pondereth the hearts. All right, so showing you that man's goings is of the Lord. So how can a man understand his own way? Okay, so going back to Daniel, the 2nd chapter, the 42nd verse. All right, and as the toes of the feet, all right, were part. Salakia, 41. And whereas, okay, which, I'll grab to that part right now. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, all right, part potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, all right, which basically, going into that EU and NATO, they were established in 1949. All right, it says, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. Okay, and it says, and as the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. All right, because they had what? They had deals and alliances, basically. Okay, these elites. All right, and it says to one, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Okay, so they're all together at one, but there's a certain how can I say it? They won't fully mix together. You see, they're down with each other. All right, but at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to completely be with each other. They're going to be against each other. That's where the division comes into play. You see, because there's always going to be one that wants to be stronger than the other. Some were weak, some were not. So at the end of the day, they cannot fully be mixed together. All right. And then it says, and in these days, hold on. Yeah, no, that's pretty much the point. All right, what I wanted to grab was because I was going to something else. All right, let me grab Revelations 17 and let's grab it from 16. And it says, and the 10 horns which thou, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. All right, going into what? These missiles. For Yahweh has put in their hearts, see, showing you that the Lord is what controls all things, to fulfill his will. See, this is the Lord's will. All right, that all the separation is coming upon these people, man. The Lord said, I come not to bring peace upon the earth. I come to bring division. You see, he said, I think not that I come to bring peace on earth. I come to bring a sword. All right. And what does a sword do? It cuts. All right. It divides. So the Lord came to bring division. There's not peace being brought to this place, man. That's why when you hear about peace treaties and, you know, these devils trying to make covenants, you can't take them serious, man, because when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction come. All right. This devil's known to break peace covenants that he makes, man. Peace treaties. Every time he makes a peace treaty, he breaking it. He going against what his own will, what, you know, what he basically said. So, you know, he does that because of his pride, because of that stout look that he has among all his fellows, you see. So it says, and the beast that thou saw in Salaka, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. All right. And the whore is America, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Meaning what? Those missiles. Okay. So, you know, basically, America, you know, they want to take over everything, you know, basically they're trying to take away all those countries, that basically they're trying to compromise all the countries that, through the petrodollar, you know. So whoever's not down with their society is, you know, basically contrary to what they're trying to set up, those are the countries that they're trying to take over, you see. And that's what they've always done. They basically say, you either with us or you're not. You see, you're against us. You either with us or you're against us. Okay. And we know that all these nations pretty much are coming up against it anyway, because they're all switching to the BRICS nations. You know, these other nations are being guarded by Russia. You know, you got these big powerhouses like Russia and China, you know, that have great big military power. And they have no, basically, they got no, they got no way of beating them, man. But they're gonna be that prideful ass country that thinks that they can, you know, hold it down by themselves, man. All right, and that's the beauty of it, because it can only mean one thing: destruction. Right. So it says, thou shalt hate the whore and make her desolate, naked, and shalt eat her with flesh, and eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Yahweh has put it in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom on to the beast until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. Okay. It says, and the woman which thou sawest is the great city. Okay. America, Babylon the Great, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. All right. And we know that they are the ones that are ruling. All right. Over everybody right now. Okay. Between America and Israel, you know, America being the bitch of Israel right now, because Israel is basically telling them what to do. You see, that's why they are going to be two countries that are going to be wiped out completely. You see, because the land of Israel is going to be annihilated, according to Ezekiel the 38th chapter. All right, Russia and all the ones that Russia is guarding, all right, eventually are going to knock out Israel. All right, in war. Okay, and then America, they're going to end up getting that evil thought. All right, the Russians are going to get that evil thought of going to America, and eventually they're going to go to the unwalled villages and take out America also. You see, so it's all Bible prophecy that all these things are actually happening. All right, and it's right on time. All right, excuse me. Whew. I just finished eating. That's why. But yeah, you know, everything that they're doing, man, is biblical prophecy. All right. And it's a beautiful time to be alive right now, man, to be serving Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai and out there, you know, preaching the word of the Lord, because we are speaking these things into existence, as the scriptures tell you in Jeremiah, the 28th chapter. All right. The prophets of old spoke about what? All right. Let's grab that real quick. They spoke about kingdoms. Okay. They spoke about kingdoms and destruction that was going to come to these places. All right. This is Jeremiah 28:8, and it says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms. You see, so we're prophesying against these countries, and we're prophesying against great kingdoms, okay, of war and of evil and of pestilence. The prophet which prophesied of peace, when the words of the prophet shall come to pass, all right, meaning what? The true words of the prophet, right? Then it says, Then shall they know that a prophet have been among them. You see, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord Yahweh has truly sent them. All right, because the true prophet is going to speak of, prophecy. That's what you're supposed to be, in the spirit of prophecy, representing the Lord's word. Okay, we're not supposed to be preaching peace and talking about we all gonna live together happily ever after and sing kumbaya, man. We are to prophesy the destruction of America, Babylon the Great, and the destruction of these nations. Okay, and each and one of them are gonna catch the fire as it is predicted in the scriptures. Okay, matter of fact, let's grab that. This is Malachi. I'll grab this since I just ran into it. This is 14 and 12. And Zechariah. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. You see? So going into those thermonuclear missiles. All right. This is Malachi 4 and 1. And it says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Okay, so no matter what you think, all right, is going to happen, is going to be totally opposite what these people think, man. It's going to literally be game time out here for the Lord, man. All right. This whole entire place is going to be annihilated. All right. America, Babylon the Great is going to be in a great lake of fire because of 200 million missiles that's going to hit this place. All right. America is going to be a great altar, and it's going to be burned with flames, because what do you put in the altar? All right. The Lord, back in the day, the Levitical priests will make an actual altar, and they will put flames on the altar, and they will make sacrifices unto the Lord. So America is going to be a great big altar, and the Lord is going to put thermonuclear missiles as the fire. All right. And it's going to be made a great sacrifice, you see, to be destroyed and have this place be resetted. Okay. It's going to be the true great reset. All right. And the Lord's going to reset it, and he's going to establish and put one that is profitable. All right. To rule. And that's going to be what? Yahweh Shai. That's going to be who? Yahweh Shai. Salakia. All right. So let me grab this real quick. Joel 3 and 9. And it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause they mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, and fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. You see, so the Lord is putting the spirit on all these nations to come, into that war spirit. Okay, even the ones that were once weak, all right, are now made strong. Why? Because they have thermonuclear missiles now, man. They have nuclear power. Okay, America is not that powerhouse no more as they used to be. Right, all these nations have nuclear power, so all these nations are able to defend themselves. All right, and it's coming to the point with the pride that this devil has. All right, that they're all saying to themselves and basically conspiring against them. Okay, they're conspiring against America secretly without them knowing. All right, this is Obadiah 1 and 7. All right, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh, even destroys the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the amount of Esau, you see. And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter, you see. So all these nations that were once in league, all right, going into them allies, all right, they're literally conspiring behind Esau's back right now, man, all right, because of the pride that Esau has. And they're all saying to themselves, all right, well, what are we going to do? You know, it's either going to be us, all right, I mean, it's either going to be them or us, you know, and it's going to come down to the point where they all come to an agreement, all right, and they basically take out America, you see, and it's going to hurt them because they're going to wail it, all right, because, you know, this was their cash cow. This was the place where they made their business. They made their money, all right, but when it comes to war, all right, they're going to take out the one that's the most powerful at that time, you see. And basically, you know, America's been losing that power little by little. The more powerful he gets, the more the more he loses his power. You see, and that's why they're going to end up taking her out anyway. And then eventually the Lord's going to take out all these nations anyway. You know, World War III is going to annihilate everybody. And it's really Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah taking everybody out of the way. Because as the scriptures tell you, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, man. All right. The Lord is going to, he makes war. All right, let's grab that and I'll end it with that. This is Revelations. Is that the 19th chapter? I believe it is. Yeah, this is, let's take it from 11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteous he does judge and make war. Why? Because the Lord is a man of war. All right, Exodus 15:3. All right, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, the name of Yahweh. All right, in fact, I forgot how it goes exactly. It's Exodus 15. This is 15:3, and it says, the name, the Lord Yahweh is a man of war. The name, the Lord Yahweh is a man of war. The Lord Yahweh is his name. Okay, so he's a man of war. Okay, and if he's a man of war, why wouldn't Yahweh Shah be a man of war? You see, so going back to 19 in Revelations and 11, I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. All right, and we know that that's Yahweh Shah, according to what? Revelations, the 6th chapter, okay, and 3. And it says, and when he had opened the second seal, I mean, Salakia, 2, 6 and 2, and I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. You see? And if you take it from 1, it says, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse. You see? But the point is, it was when the Lamb opened one of the seals. And who's the Lamb? Yahweh Shai. Okay? And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. You see? So going back to 19 and 11, and I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. You see? So he had many crowns. Why? Because he's going to take down all these different empires. You see? And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. All right. It says, and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treaded the winepress of the fierceness of of the fierceness and wrath of the Almighty power. And he has on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, Kings of Kings, or King of Kings and Lord of Lords. You see? So the Lord, all right, is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And nobody's going to be able to, you know, take him out of his power. You see, that's why in 1 hour this place is going to be destroyed, all right? And all these nations is going to be destroyed in the snap of a finger, man. You see? So it says, and I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit upon them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. You see? And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. Okay. And they're not going to be able to prevail. You see, at the end of the day, they could try. All right. But the Lord said they're not going to be able to prevail against them, you know. So, you know, that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to bring that out. I took a little long on it, but hey, it's the spirit. But, you know, this is what's going on, man. The beast is hating the whore. Okay, everybody's starting to come up against America because the proudness of this devil. All right, and like I said, it's beautiful times. All right, to be seeing the works of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai come to existence. You see, come to play. Okay, so hey, Lord willing that you will edify. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, call Veloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Barak Kodash. Double homage to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Aki and the Aquat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith and doing as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. Shalom, Malak, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah, Demiyah, Shalom.